Hi, I'm Sandra Champlain. I own a 21-year-old small business, a coffee and chocolate store, and I'm also a chef. I cook for race car teams. But that's not why I'm here. 15 years ago, I went through an incredible fear of dying. And I don't know where it came from, but it had me start researching, is there life after death? Is there any credible proof that I have nothing to fear? And it took me on a journey, one that led me to study with a very famous psychic medium out in California. And I attended her course, not telling anybody I was going, because I've always been someone that never believed in psychics, never believed in mediums. So the last thing I was going to do was tell anybody I was taking this course. And in the course of 3 days, what happened was we would work with other people. And in my imagination, that's just how it looked, I was able to accurately tell people the deceased people around them. And as crazy as that may seem, I knew what they did for a living, I knew what they looked like, I knew what they died of, and I knew personal messages that I shouldn't know. Unfortunately, I was only right about 50% of the time, and when I traveled home, I realized for myself that I did believe in life after death and that I had nothing to fear. However, I would meet people who had lost someone, and my fear of not wanting to look stupid, not wanting to look bad, prevented me from telling these people about my journey. So I kept on searching. Is there any credible, real, tangible proof of life after death? And in October 2005, I took a course called Electronic Voice Phenomena. I attended this course, and it was hosted by a couple that for the last 17 years have been recording voices from deceased people on tape recorders. Now, that sounds nuts, and it sounded nuts to me too, and very discreetly I took this course, again, not telling anybody in my life I was going to go there. And on night 2 of the course, I knew in my heart that this was real, but until I got a message for myself, there was no way I was going to tell anybody about this. And on the Saturday night of the course, I was lying in my bed. I had a cabin all to myself, and all that was going on outside was rain. And I sat there snuggled under my covers, and on this very tape recorder, I pressed the record button. And I imagined my aunt, my uncle, my grandmother, and my grandfather standing around the foot of the bed. Thinking I'm talking to myself, I said, okay, my dear friends, if you're here and this is real and I'm supposed to help people, I said, I need you to talk loud. So I let it record for just a minute, and then I said goodnight. And so I got all cozy under my covers, and I put on my big clunky headphones, and I plugged them right into the end of my recorder here, and I listened. And on the second number, 46, here's what I heard. Good night, Sandra, in a man's voice. Good night, 2 women's voices. Good night, in a man's voice. That experience changed my life, as you can imagine. And in the following year, I now had the courage, when I met someone, to not only tell them their deceased loved one is around them, but I said, let's do a recording. And over 120 people I worked with, I just gave it away, and 100% of the times they heard a specific message from their loved one. And I also was able to say what I saw in my mind's eye, and 3 times people pulled out of their wallet a picture of a person that I just saw in my mind. Now, I went back living life. Again, reality kicked in. Who am I to share this message? Until January 2010, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. My siblings and I have always been reasonably close. We made an agreement. Should anything happen to mom or dad, we would not turn into one of those crazy families that separated. But unfortunately, around the time of my dad's death, our arguments became so bad that we did not talk for 2 years. I decided to learn what is grief. Why must we experience it? And I found out that over 60% of sibling relationships split when a parent dies. Over 90% of couples get divorced if a child dies. And over 1 million people worldwide commit suicide during the pain from grief. I found out what happens in our brain during grief, that the area that we use to grieve is also the area that we use for our memory and our perception. Meaning, if you are grieving right now, you believe your life is happening one way. You might be dealing with a family member who's experiencing grief and it occurs to them differently. It dawned on me that this information would help save families and help save lives. I created a free audio called How to Survive Grief, posted it online, and in just less than a year, I've had 2,000 people in 15 countries listen to it. And it's dawned on me that I am the one to share this message, and I started writing a book. So I'm going to reintroduce myself. My name is Sandra Champlain, and I am the author of the forthcoming book, We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. Now, even though I educate people on grief and I tell my remarkable story, you may be wondering, well, if we aren't this, who are we really? And I can tell you from everything I've learned and everything I've studied, I believe that we are eternal souls. I do believe that we are here on earth to grow. The soul's got to grow. There is someplace else we go, and it's necessary for us to get all kinds of emotions experienced. And here is also the only place that we have a body, and with the body comes our 5 senses. So wherever we go next, we won't be able to feel the warmth of a hug. We won't be able to taste chocolate on our taste buds. We won't be able to hear the sound of our favorite songs. Now, I'm sure it's wonderful where we go, but my mission right now here on earth is to help people no longer be afraid of death, which means no longer being afraid of life. It means figuring out what your dreams are and courageously going after them. It means being in the present moment, experiencing everything you've got with your senses. It means playing full out and get your money's worth out of life. I'm Sandra Champlain, and I thank you for taking the time to watch this video.